So before we get into the culinary aspect of this carrot cake, it's kind of a fun one that I enjoy because it calls upon the sort of manly carpenter nature within that I think must be inborn in my genetics somewhere, because we have to do a little bit of geometrical architecting to make this recipe happen, because we have to line these baking pans. So what I've done, it's not too difficult, it's actually really enjoyable. I've taken a very large piece of parchment and I've folded it into fourths. So I now have essentially 4 or 8 or however many layers, one over the next. I'm going to actually, I think I need to do this another time, so I do actually have 8. I'm now going to line up the center of this folded piece of parchment that has 8 layers going on with all the folding. I'm going to do my best to keep that right there in the center. And that's close enough. And now I'm going to draw along the arc of this circle along the quarter. And now I have that shape drawn on my parchment. Cut along that arc. Okay. And now fingers crossed. Wow. I'm actually totally impressed with myself. I wasn't quite sure that was going to work. Now I have just about perfect, they're a little askew, but just about perfect circles of parchment that can go in the bottom of my baking dish. Now that we have our parchment lined up and cut out so nicely, I'm going to take a stick of butter and peel just enough paper off the end so I have a little handle here, and I'm just going to go to town greasing up the inside of this pan. I will go ahead and do that for numero dos over here. And now I'm just going to take these sheets of parchment that we cut and I'm going to lay them right down on top of the butter. And now the butter is actually going to act almost like a rubber cement. It's still movable, it's still flexible, but now our parchment paper is held perfectly in the pan. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take my butter and do another layer of butter right on top of the parchment. We want to butter both sides. And now with our butter as a base to catch this, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of our baking flour into this pan. Doesn't take much, because then all I'm going to do is just give it a nice shake all around the edges. You want to just really distribute that flour all over. It's almost like glitter and glue because that butter is in there. It's catching it. We need a little bit more. I think with the price of flour these days, I can afford to toss a quarter cup or so into this cause. And you see now we have a really beautifully floured, buttered, lined baking pan. This is the perfect vessel for making a cake. It's going to take away any headaches that might come as a result of sticking. And I'm going to go ahead and dump my residual flour right on over. You don't want a ton of flour left over in the pan. This is all about a dusting. This flour isn't going to get too much of a chance to cook before it goes into the batter, so we want to minimize the flavor of that uncooked flour. And we'll just dump our excess right into our sink here. And now our pans are ready to go.